Alright guys, welcome back to Valorant News. Chaos in the North American Valorant scene with so many roster changes going down over the last 24 hours or so in Tier 2, but also Tier 1, with Cloud9 confirming Vanity has gone from the team. Where does he go next? Where does Ye go next? With Arnis also saying that Cloud9 are basically a cloud organization that really aren't taking things seriously at the moment. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. First of all, wanted to mention there are rumors that a bind rework is going to be happening relatively soon. Now, whether they do to bind what they did to split, which, you know, was it really too much of an update? Okay, there were a few things changed. The map has changed marginally, but split is basically the same map that it was before. They took it out of the rotation for weird reasons, to be honest, and now split, of course, is back in business. So will bind be such a, you know, a similar rework and update? I don't exactly know when this is going to be happening, but, you know, bind potentially going to be updated soon and then could be back in the map pool at some point or another. Also a comment from Aaron here from, of course, Global Esports discussing the auto qualification for champions, as he says it's kind of redonkulous. The fact that, you know, if you win, if you come top 3 in the playoffs in the Pacific region, you not only qualify for Masters, but you also auto qualify for champions, which does seem strange because it's not really the case, I don't believe, certainly in North America or in the Americas. So, yeah, I don't know what you guys think about this. I know that Aaron had some thoughts on this. Now, Global Esports obviously wouldn't be favored to necessarily do that anyway, but yeah, the way it works is definitely, you know, maybe not the best idea. It's just there's less Valorant this year than there should be, arguably, because they're balancing it across Tier 2 and Tier 1. There's just not much Valorant being played on the Tier 1 level, that I guess that's why they feel like this is necessary to actually secure those champion spots, but it's probably not the ideal way it should be done. Hopefully next year there's simply just more games going on, because it's not been great, to be honest. Now, this was noticed as well, that DSG Disguise team were playing with Riku, their substitute player, instead of Exalt on the team, and it was shortly thereafter confirmed that Exalt has indeed been released from the team. As a Disguised say here, today we're sad to announce the departure of Exalt from DSG. Drake has been an integral part of our Open Qualifiers run. We'll forever be grateful for his role in helping establish their place in the Valorant scene. We'll greatly miss his presence, and confirming that Riku is going to come in for the rest of the stage, or for the rest of the splits, because I believe there's a roster lock. They actually can't drop anyone and sign another player. Like, if they want to make a change, they've got to do this and just kind of release a player and bring in their substitute. They're not really allowed to just sign a new player, I believe. So unfortunately for Disguise, they can't just sign Ye, which, you know, maybe they will. We'll see about that, how much money Toast wants to put into this project. But as Exalt says, want to thank Disguise for the opportunity, wish them nothing but the best going forwards. I'm an unrestricted free agent, so kind of confirming here that this is not necessarily by, it's kind of by mutual agreement, but he's not been poached, right, is the key point, because saying he's an unrestricted free agent implies that, you know, he's not already got a spot lined up, right, because he wouldn't say this if he already had a spot lined up, and obviously he wants to go into the Americas League ideally, or of course in challenges. And as Exalt then confirms, no, I have not been poached, and no, I don't have offers to play in the Americas League. We weren't progressing the way that we wanted to. Both parties agreed it was best to part ways. Please understand, I'm not perfect. At the end of the day, the goal is to win. So good statement here from Exalt. Hopefully he gets another opportunity soon. I think he's a very solid player, to be honest. I know that people thought, wow, Cloud9, they could pick him up, and maybe they will, maybe they could, but how much money is it going to cost them? Because they won't. Of course, he's unrestricted. There's no buyout from Disguise, so, you know, he could definitely walk and go to C9, and they could pay him whatever salary they want to pay to actually get him on the team, because clearly Vanity has departed for, again, it's money reasons, right? It's not role issues or whatever. They don't even pretend this time that it's any role issues or something. They don't give, like, Jack Etienne and the coach, they don't sit there and give the reasoning. Like, it's quite clear why this has been happening, that Ye is gone, and now either they've just run out of money for Vanity, or they just wanted to drop him. Maybe the coach decided, you know what, Vanity's not it, we're going to get rid of him. But the team wanted him to stay. That was the rumors we heard the other day, and it was an interesting statement from George Geddes at the time, just because by saying that a team wanted him to stay, does that imply that the team didn't want Ye to stay? Like, you don't really know, but of course they've been with Vanity a little bit longer, so maybe it makes sense. But Vanity's gone. The precise reason as to why it wasn't even really stated here by Cloud9, but the rumor is they've basically run out of money, and they've decided, you know what, we're just gonna slim down these operations as much as we possibly can. You know full well these North American Valorant salaries are pretty insane. Just NA esports in general seem to have pretty remarkable salaries for some reason. So, you know, Vanity, I don't know what he was getting paid. I don't know what the entire team was getting paid, but there's a good argument to say that, you know, they decided, as well as kicking Ye for costing too much money, that they were going to try and reduce the salaries here, and maybe Vanity thought, you know what, I've had enough of this, I'm just going to dip out of here. But does Vanity really have another option on the table, right? That's a bit confusing to me if Vanity decided decide to do that, because it's not like Vanity's going to get picked up by another Americas League team, and where does he go in challenges? It's kind of difficult to say. There might be some options out there, but I just don't see Vanity getting back on a tier 1 team anytime soon. So, you know, maybe he did just get removed from the team and the coach has had enough of him. But as he says, my brothers for life, zyppan and Leaf. So apparently these guys wanted Vanity to stay, but of course he didn't for whatever reason. Feel free to speculate. It's an absolute open goal at this point to just dunk on Cloud9, which basically everyone has been doing, and you can kind of understand why. Of course, Ye the other day also commented on getting removed, and oh yeah, role issues was definitely the reason why I got dropped from the team. And the most recent thing that he said is, if I speak, I'm in big trouble. So yes, clearly the relationship there with Cloud9 has collapsed completely, and Artis actually gives his thoughts on this drama as well. Now the question is, right, because Disguised has made the the statement that Exalt is gone. Now, as I say, there is a roster lock. They can't bring anyone in, but after this split and during the kind of the mid-season face-off they're doing relatively soon in tier 2, we'll discuss that in a second, then the opportunity does arise for potential roster changes. So Vanity could be an option. Ye could, I mean, Ye is not going to tier 2, but we'll see what happens with Ye, because he's not going back to Cloud9, that is for sure. And what other tier 1 team is going to make a change yet? Probably it's going to be a good few weeks, if not like a month, until some of the tier 1 teams decide, you know what, yes, we want to make a change for this particular player. Or Ye's just going to go to Europe or something. That's maybe another possibility. So just wanted to share Artis' thoughts here, because he was roasting Cloud9 pretty hard and for good reason. He says, look, Sentinels, they've got the clout and everything, but at least they own it, whereas Cloud9 just straight up clown organization doing this to their players. And he also mentioned shortly after this clip, actually, like that he scrims these guys. And we know they've been practicing with many different teams over the last few days, and he mentioned one specific player that was in their scrims, or might have been, and he reckoned they've got TTV in their name and all this type of stuff. He didn't really give any complete indication on which player that this might potentially be, but also they're just doing trials right now, really, Cloud9, and you know, like whoever they scrimmed against with NRG and Artis in, there's no guarantee that they're still in the team as it stands, especially because every single scrim at Bucks that I've seen that Cloud9 have played with a new stand-in trial player, they've been getting absolutely bodied.
C9 is a clown org. I will highly agree with you on that one. I will highly agree that they are a clown org. I cannot. That is. You can't disagree on that. I think if the players on themselves on the team could say that, they would. But unfortunately, they would get fined. But I think it's like, I mean, it's embarrassing. Sentinels is just a big L. Nah, Sentinels is not a big. Sentinels. The difference between Sentinels and C9, Sentinels want to be the biggest brand that they can. Sentinels want to be the GOATs of Valorant. C9 are happy to be here, bro. C9 are getting a participation trophy, bro. Like, they're just happy being top 10, you know what I mean? Like, that's the goal, bro. By the way, the players are incredible, by the way, for C9. Oh, I'm being honest, bro. Like, the difference between, like, C9 and Sentinels, like, Sentinels, you can say what they want. Like, they've made some bad decisions over the years. Like, I remember, like, they signed, like, what's the guy? They didn't sign a coach for, like, a year. It doesn't matter, okay? They want to be the best.
So it does seem like Cloud9 are speed running their way to the bottom of the Americas League, and this is also the thing, right, with the partnership league. So it's not a franchise league. Cloud9 have not had to pay Riot to get in here. Riot actually pay them, right? We know that there's partnership, there's kind of, stipends or whatever it's called, that Riot will pay the teams so that they can, of course, the teams promote the league, and therefore, by consequence, they promote the game of Valorant. So, of course, it's a good marketing exercise for Riot, and in kind of return for that, the Riot will actually give the team some money as a result to support their ventures, because of course it's not cheap running an esports organization. However, Riot decide at the end of the day who their partners are, and if Cloud9 fall off the cliff massively, as they seemingly are at the moment, Riot can decide if they want to, Cloud9, you're no longer part of this partnership league, where a partnership is terminated. I'm sure that Riot have the power to do that in their relationship. There might be some clauses in place that prevent that being the case for at least a season or so, but still, I reckon Riot could just drop Cloud9 if they wanted to. If they don't feel like Cloud9 are committing as they should be to the space, then they can just drop them and choose another organization to come in instead, whether that's a G2 or whatever, because they were close to getting in before the drama happened. Like, I guess that remains to be seen. Now, even Sentinels say, yesterday, marvelous weather we're having, and Marved even quote tweet on God, right? So, yeah, we believe Marved is going to go to Sentinels as their 6th man, replacing Sig, of course. That story has not really had too many developments over the last few days, but I also believe Artis mentioned in one of those clips that Marved is not joining Cloud9. Like, he didn't see him in the scrims or anything, so if Marved's going anywhere, it's going to be Sentinels, and I think this makes a fair bit of sense from a couple of different angles, and well, we'll see if that actually happens, because if Sentinels then do struggle and Marved is on their bench, then, you know, who knows if Marved actually gets into the starting team at some point. But Cloud9 aren't going to be paying the salary that Marved wants to be a player again, because he just preferred to stream, I think, at that point, rather than have to suffer through the Cloud9 saga. Now, we've also got to talk about then some unbelievable games last night in the Challenger side. So it was Moist Moguls versus SR, and SR clutch won the fracture, they take it to 1-1, but Moist Moguls take them down 2-1. Game 3 was insane here on Pearl, 13-11, and you know, Ludwig was super happy about it, and what a series this was, honestly, like absolute chaos, to be honest, in the North American Valorant scene right now. The other series was Oxygen versus FaZe, and Oxygen won this series. FaZe had been kind of up and down. They looked more impressive than I thought, honestly, at the start of this stage, but in the end, Oxygen just had their number this series, and that leaves a ridiculous set of groups here, just to mention before we close out the video. So you guys might know that coming up in a couple of weeks' time, there's this mid-season face-off here, so I believe the teams will get additional points towards their, you know, attempts to qualify for the playoffs at the end of the season in this mid-season face-off. The top 4 teams qualify for this mid-season face-off from each group, and the top 4 teams qualify for the playoffs, of which 2 of these teams can then make it through the playoffs to the Ascension tournament that will go on land at the end of the year in the entirety of the Americas to determine which team gets through. So really all you've got to do here is be top 4. Now, Group B is already determined here which the top 4 teams are for the mid-season face-off, because there's only 1 match still to go per team, right? So there's 1 more week of matches next weekends, and all of the teams play 1 more game. So if Mad Lions and Aura Esports win both their games, they'll certainly only have 1 series win, which isn't enough to overtake Disguise. So these are going to be the top 4 teams. However, in Group A, it's an absolute shambles. Like, honestly, this is ridiculous. So G2 are 3-1. That should be good enough for them to at least make it through to the mid-season face-off. Now, of course, you don't just want to make it to the mid-season face-off. You want to be number 1 seed for as long as you possibly can be. Shopify Rebellion are now 1-3. And then Turtle Troop, after winning yesterday, and I said, oh, you know, Turtle Troop, Moist Moguls, maybe, you know, Ludwig made the wrong call which team he decided to pick up, because Turtle Troop, we believe, is going to become XQC's team. But now with Oxygen beating FaZe, that really put a cat amongst the pigeons, right? Because now it's 2-2 for FaZe, 2-2 for Oxygen, with exactly a 100-in-100 round count, which is kind of beautiful. Then Moist Moguls, then Turtle Troop, soon to be the Juicers or whatever they're going to call themselves, then SR. Like, this Group A is absolutely insane, and going into the final week, I really have no idea who is going to come out on top here. So very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.